So with that said, let's start tonight's show with Martin Brechbiel for his Scratch Building Corner. Martin, welcome.
There we are. It's number 3. Not to be confused with 1 or 2. So we're going to start something new tonight. It's another structure, and it's going to be wood. Since I'm not going to compete with styrene, we'll stay with wood, anything but styrene for as long as I can. How about that? So we're going to start with these doors, these laser cut doors. These came from Deerfield River. I got a bag of them. I don't know where or how, but the best way to make them go away is put them to use and build a model with them. They're rather nice. You got to make sure you get a left and a right hand door though out of the bag. I almost messed that up when I started out. And the left and right, you've got diagonals. You want 2 different diagonals on the back paneling, and a little wood glue assembles those. The walls are going to be clapboard. I'm not sure whose brand or whatever it is. It's whatever I had bits and pieces laying about. I'm going to salvage some scrap and put it to work in this model as best I can. It's either Northeastern or maybe Midwest, actually. There's at least 4 places you can get O-scale clapboard milled clapboard siding. So, those doors, the width of the doors pretty much sets the width of the front of this building. I don't know what the width is. I didn't measure it, but these are rather large doors. They're 8 by 8 feet when put together side by side. So they're pretty sizable. There's 2 sides. So pay no attention to the pencil line. That's from something else, from somewhere else, from some other project from once upon a time. It'll get a coat of paint over it eventually. But most clapboard comes with 3-inch or 3.5 or 4-inch widths. You can get 6-inch from Kapler, but you need something wider. Well, that's where you lay it flat on a piece of glass and edge glue it together and build up your sides to be whatever height or width or you really want. It's not a big deal. So there's a left and a right. Make sure you get the clapboard right side up or right side down, depending on how your perspective is. But so you have a left and a right. So how's this all going to go together? Well, there's a lot on this slide. Well, in lower center, there's the front. And we've got the doors glued into place. There's a little bit of trim around the door frame opening. Just slice and dice this open with a scalpel, glue it back in place. It's actually a little bit of spring to it because I got a little tight. So the doors are actually just kind of floating in there, but they aren't anchored on the edges. There's 2 back pieces and there's a front piece. They all got 3/32 square stock glued to the edges. Being end grain of wood, most wood glues don't work very well. So this was done with a little bit of goo and some CA mixed, one on one surface, one on the other, slap it together on top of glass, hold it down flat. You've got the corner posts made. We've got some T-sheet. Actually, those are maintenance away car windows, but they're a nice size window. So I have a lot of them. So we're going to use those. They're centered in the back wall, the lower back wall. The upper back wall doesn't have any windows, or I've decided not to have any windows. I could put them in later if I really wanted to. And you can see those back walls are both assembled from at least 2 pieces of scrap clapboard. I'm not going to waste any of that. Once it's glued together, it's good and stable and it's tight. There's a door over the side. That's a T-sheet door. I don't remember which one it is. Just cut the hole out, drop it in. They're not glued in place yet. They're just test fitted, so you can see where they're going to go. We'll paint those separately and glaze them, and then mount them into place later. But it's always good to get the holes set first, because for some reason, holes seem to get smaller as you go forward. and then you reopen them again with a scalpel blade. Probably swells the wood with a little bit of paint. So we'll put together all the parts, and lots of scrap 3/32 square stock, not 3/32, 3/16, sorry. That's to give me glue surfaces and stability on the upper edges. So when I do glue a roof on there, it's going to be board by board, individual boards across the spanning the roof sheathing. And just see, there's another view from the back side. You can see there's more 3/16. It's all put together with carpenter's glue at this point. So carpenter's glue and the old adage, you can never have too many clamps, is very true. Lots and lots and lots of little spring clamps, a little bit of carpenter's glue, some clamps, come back later, glue another couple of pieces on until you get it done. It's fairly straightforward. And another view from the other direction. Nothing too fancy here, but you can see there's also, let's see if my cursor is going to work. There it is. There's boards across the bottom. Those aren't for keeping it from warping. Those are for mounting it on a platform, which we're going to build as well. So we need something to glue it down. Gluing down the edges of wood just is too problematic to be confronted with. It's a lot easier to add a much wider surface unless you're going to do an interior. So if you're going to do an interior, well, maybe next month we'll do something with an interior. I don't know. It's random access out of the files. So until we get any plans on where we're going to stay away from interiors for a while. And there's our platform, which is actually quite a bit larger than the actual structure. I think, well, I don't know if I have a picture of it sitting on it, but it's a large platform. There's going to be a lot of area for piling other stuff, because without a naked building by itself, without stuff to pile around it, is very naked, oddly enough. So we're going to add things to it. And it's just I think it's HO 3x22 or something like that. I have a surplus of it, so it got used for this. And the underside is some 3/16 balsa and some 3/16 by probably 1/16 pine, actually, from Kepler. Just to give it some stability and a gluing surface. And we're never going to really see this, but it's just there to hold it all together. I'm using the balsa wood for no particular reason other than the fact that I got a bundle of it in the mail. So the fastest way to make it go away is to put it to use somewhere where I won't see it, and for now, and I'll probably end up using it for interior, not bracing, but gluing surfaces. It's nice to work with, it's easy to cut. So here, we'll just start the roof. And this is just more, let's see, HO 3x22. And we're starting one board at a time. The tricky part here on this is you want some overhang. So these first two boards right here, the bottom two boards on both roofs are actually edge glued together first, and then they're mounted to the building frame, so I can get a nice healthy overhang and not have, this little tiny board barely glued in place and then break it off later. So it's assembled as a unit. So making a 3x44 piece effectively. And we just work our way up to the top. Over in the back, we're working our way from top and bottom because I had to put a little mortise relief on each side of this to slide it in snug against the clapboard. And it's glued right on both ends onto the interior 3x16 bracing for a gluing surface. But that leaves the middle of this flopping about. It's nothing supporting it. So inside is another piece of 3x22 overlapping it, tying it into the base of the clapboard. So just slop a little extra carpenter's glue in it, slide it into place. Nobody's going to ever see it, but it's all going to hold it together nice and stiff and secure. And I'm betting this might actually even be my last slide if I'm lucky. Hey, I called it. So we're going to stop there. And that's a quick little shot. And I don't know what we're going to do next week with this because I haven't done it yet. We'll just make it up as we go. So any questions about anything? Now's your time to throw the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune.
Martin, what kind of scalpel blades do you use when you're cutting through the siding?
I don't. I don't. Okay. Cross grain, I don't.
Okay.
Cross grain, I'm using a regular utility knife up against a steel ruler. With the grain, I'm using a number 10 and cutting it right at the edge of where two clapboards meet. So there's actually a ledge there that you could ride against if you're really, really gentle. So that's why I use number 10, so you can be really gentle and not slide off into no man's land and ruin your piece of clapboard.
All right, thank you.
Martin,
Yes, sir.
you've mentioned many times using glue and CA.
Yeah.
Is that kind of a 50-50 thing, or?
Okay. It's a smear on the most porous surface, and the CA goes on the least porous surface. You slap them together, they have a little party, and they never come apart again. So you get it right because you got about 9 seconds.
Okay. Thank you.
It's pretty irretrievable unless you take a razor saw or a scalpel to it, carve it apart. Poor man's epoxy, or whatever you want to call it.
Is there a precise measurement for slap it on?
A precise measurement? Have I ever made a precise measurement of anything?
I just had to say.
You just had to set me off. I know.
Let me ask you this question.
Okay.
I'm a beginner. Never
Okay.
done scratch building before. So far, what you've shown us tonight, where am I going to have the most problem? Doing what you did tonight, what's going to cause me the most problems starting out?
Gosh. Probably gluing up the sides of the clapboard and getting it even and tight, because the edges aren't usually perfectly straight. I mean, they sell it as if it's straight, but you need to sand a little bit. You need to weight it down edge to edge and put some glue in it. And you need a really good work surface. So, everybody likes to use, I don't know what everybody else uses. I'm on plate glass. I've got four pieces of that are 2 by 3 feet. Even if you glue it down with carpenter's glue, it pops right back off the glass, but it is flat. So, you want to build on top of something flat. I think that's really critical for everybody. And you want something that's forgiving, that, you can get it back off the flat. You can glue stuff to glass and have it not come off, or you have to, what's the polite word? Persuade it to come off. It has happened.
So what you're talking about matching the two pieces of wood together?
Yeah, the edges of the side.
That's kind of trial and error until you've got it just really where you want it
Well,
before you put glue on it.
Yeah, you want to have a pretty good idea of. I mean, I'm actually gluing up a far larger piece than I actually need, and then cutting it to what I need. So you don't want to try and guess and make the individual pieces. Assemble more than you need, slice away the excess. You're going to sacrifice some. It's not going to, it's not worth your time to try and get all the pieces perfect up front. So, have some extra so you can slice and dice off the waste. It's going to be waste. Sorry, it's going to happen.
Thanks so much, Martin. We really appreciate it.